Hello YouTube, this is Insane Monster doing the beginning part of What If Naruto was the grandson of Natsu and Lucy. So yeah, this is what's happening. This is the winner of, this is the pick of the winner of the What If Lotto. So I do hope that you will enjoy this. As for the title, it may be different in the wording in the thumbnail and on the video, but if so, it's just how it is. But either way, I do hope that you will enjoy, and please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. With all that taken care of, let's hit it before starting the video. Now then, before we get to the Naruto world, we see an adult Natsu and Lucy. Due to certain circumstances, Lucy ended up getting the other golden uh, celestial keys, which would be Libra as well as Pisces, including the Black Snake golden key. I forget that one's name, but I will go back and look into it. So yeah, one day something happened while on a job, and they were sucked in to the world of Naruto. Now, since they're going to be Naruto's grandparents, they are around in what I would say is more or less the early part or stage of the village, or however you want to place it. But yeah, it isn't really that common from people from other villages to join to go from one village to join another village and such. Isn't that uncommon and such? So yeah, but things kind of just happen. During a battle, Natsu ended up helping the third Hokage, and when they told them that they were unfamiliar with this place and didn't know how to get back home, the third allowed them to come to their village. Of course, if I'm not mistaken, there were some people not thrilled about this, mostly the two grumpy elders that always got a gripe about something. Though once they saw the power that Natsu and Lucy had, they begrudgingly agreed, seeing as they could be great assets to the Leaf. Over time, they had a son, and this was Minato. And as he got older, they realized that he inherited dragon magic, though it was also shown that he had chakra. As for why this is, before any of you mention it, remember when people normally get isekai in anime? They tend to get the same kind of abilities as the people in the world they got sucked into, even if they didn't have those abilities before. So that's how that happens. They got sucked in there, and now they have chakra. For learning this, they did practice quite a bit, including Lucy learning about seals and such, and Natsu just learning some fire jutsu. As for Minato, turned out with his, I'm gonna say he has lightning chakra nature naturally, which caused and influenced him a little bit, allowing him to be a lightning dragon slayer. Over time, Minato gained plenty of achievements to the point to where he actually became the next Hokage. And also meeting his wife, Kisuno, I believe her name was, as they ended up getting together. Our, I mean, Natsu and Lucy were happy for Minato, not only for becoming Hokage to protect their new home, but to also uh, marrying a lovely woman and with kids on the way. And yes, kids. After checking with the doctors using medical ninjutsu, they found out they were having twins. As for Happy, he was getting kind of old, but he was still kicking and was and like always hung around Natsu. Hmm. As we continue with the events that did lead to tragedy, the man with the mask attacking uh, Minato and his wife as he was giving birth. Now, Naruto is still born and born as the older twin. As for his sister, her name is actually Nashi. Minato named her as kind of an homage to his dad Natsu a little bit, you know? So yeah. Though, like in canon, the man with the mask came bursting in. He was able to save his children teleporting out of there, but he did get his wife and had to go back to save them. So he did leave Naruto and Nasi with Lucy and Natsu for the time being. As for Natsu, he left, stating that he's going to help deal with the Nine Tails, giving it a good couple of smacks, telling some of the other ninjas to hurry up and grab as many civilians as they can and get them as far away as possible. With Minato jumping into the fight, he goes to save his wife Kushina, though, like in the anime, he ends up losing his life. Using a shadow clone to bring Nashi and Naruto to them, he decides to use the Reaper Death Seal. Natsu there and Lucy shortly coming up as well, with Kushina using her chakra chains to hold the Nine Tails down. Minato asked his parents to watch over them the best that they can. As he smirked, the last breath, he sealed a half of the Nine Tails in each of his children as they passed away. Of course, there was some debate after this mess happened. The third had to take up the mantle of Hokage again, while we get to where they talk about what to do about the uh, the two Jinchurikis they have now, each holding half of the Nine Tails. Sanjo wanted to take them, obviously, in order to train them to be weapons. So, as one of the stronger people in the village, or I guess you could say the strongest person in the village, besides the Hokage, Natsu wasn't having this. And he is not the kind of person to be trifled with in this manner, and Donjo knows that, as he states that those two are my grandchildren. You're not taking them from me and Lucy, unless you want to fight me about it. Donzo knew he couldn't properly take Natsu, as he just regrettably went along with it. At least, well, regrettably to him, at least. With that, it was decided that Natsu, I mean, that Natsu and Lucy would be the ones raising Naruto and Nashi. They lived in a smallish house, kind of, 2 stories, with a bedroom for Natsu and Lucy to sleep in, and a bedroom for Naruto and a bedroom for Nashi, as they raised them up, growing older as time went by. As it turns out, it seems like Naruto and Nashi both inherited dragon abilities, with Nashi inheriting the flame abilities as well, not being changed like her father due to the chakra nature. As for Naruto, he ended up with something a bit special: celestial dragon magic, combining the dragon slayer magic from Natsu and the celestial magic from Lucy. Quite unique, so he started training them, telling them that if they continue just emptying out their container of their power, it would cause it to get bigger when it refills. That's the basics of it. As Happy, and this is like old cat Happy, was hanging around watching over Naruto and Nashi to help uh, Natsu and Lucy with it. Occasionally, Nashi would pick up Happy and carry him around in her arms, and sometimes even fall asleep with Happy in her arms. Natsu was okay with this, and Happy didn't mind either. So yeah, as we get to the point where the village elders, Danjo, Hokage, uh, and Natsu are actually discussing about the problems with the Uchiha clan. Natsu states that this happened because you just discriminate. It just happened because you labeled them. You put the discriminate against them and just basically quarantine them. They couldn't quite deny it, but Danjo states that it isn't that simple. The problem won't resolve itself unless we do something. Though the whole Lord Third was not having their little execution plan on his mind at all, not wanting to do such a terrible thing. Though after that meeting, when they started talking about it, the Hokage called Natsu into his office, meet in private. When he did, Lord Third told Natsu that it would probably be Itachi Uchiha who would be selected to eliminate the Uchiha if they did go ahead with this plan. Natsu didn't really agree with that. After all, it would basically be, I believe the correct term is patricide, the murder of one's family. If not, I apologize, but whichever. So, uh, the Lord Third, the Hokage, called Itachi, asking him to help train Nashi and as well as Naruto due to their unique abilities, thinking that he could be a good influence on them, stating that he can even bring his brother if he wants for the training. Itachi, being told this by the Hokage, did agree to it and spent a good amount of time with their family, including Sasuke, who obviously Naruto and Sasuke butted heads a lot, challenging one another. As for the Nine Tails, Neither of them know that they have half of the nine tails inside of them at the moment. The one in Naruto is the dark side trying to take over. The light side is in Nasi and is just chilling. But they are both gaining a large amount of chakra through the tailed beast influence on them by its power. So there is that. The kids were playing, not to talk to Itachi a lot, telling him that he knows what he might be asked to do, that he didn't really approve of it, stating that even if some people are responsible, that doesn't mean that the entirety of them should be eradicated, does it? There are innocents to consider, isn't there? Itachi knew Natsu was right, and he would most likely be asked to do this. He knew that from the beginning. He's already talked to Donzo about the possibility. Was curious about how Natsu knew about it, as he just sighed. Occasionally, he would be sent on missions with Natsu and even Shinsui, getting along pretty well. Though the day did come when Donzo tried to take Shinsui's eyes. This was near the village, though it was within smelling distance of Natsu at least, considering his dragon's sense of smell has grown even stronger as time passed by. But since we getting out of there, Naruto found that Danzo had Sensui's eye. The blind rage, he punched Danzo, rushing at him so fast that he couldn't even notice, and then grabbed Sensui's eyes. With Danzo knocked out and coming to, not knowing what happened, just remembering a bright flash, he realized he no longer had the eye, frustrated that he didn't get his hands on it. So he had to get out of there. As for Shinsui, he did give his other eye to Itachi. Not to mention, he also ended up meeting with Natsu, who followed the scent of Shinsui's blood from the eye he grabbed from Danzo, meeting up with Itachi as they began to talk, wondering what to do with these eyes. Danzo didn't get his hands on them. They knew that it was a good thing too. Shinsui's uh, visual ability was unique and pretty dangerous to be in the wrong hands. Though it was also known that if they kept it with the Uchiha, it might lead to even more problems. So they decided, with Itachi suggesting that they hide it with Natsu. So when they got there, Naruto and Nasi were asleep. As they told Lucy what happened, she was shocked and felt bad that since we died. But they ended up deciding to hide their eyes. Not in the house per se. While one was given to Naruto, put into his right eye, the other was put into the left of Nasi's eye, using a jutsu to seal the visual ability of the Sharingan from Shinsui away, and would only be unlocked if the correct jutsu was activated. So, later on, it happened. Itachi was asked to kill the entire Uchiha clan. So, because of Natsu's influence on Itachi, he did spare some more people, but it was only the children. Because I would imagine that Sasuke was actually not the only kid in the Uchiha clan, because that might actually be kind of weird considering how many dead bodies dropped that night. You know, I mean, there was had to be more kids. He was merciful enough to kill the children's parents while they were asleep. Fortunately, his brother woke up, seeing what happened. That his brother killed their parents, then use a genjutsu on him to make him relive a continuous nightmare for a while. As he left, he up with uh met up not with Natsu, telling him what happened, as well as the mission he was given by Lord Third. Natsu was furious at this happening, as Tachi told him, "Children are alive. Please look after them, including my little brother. Don't tell them the truth, please." Natsu was gonna hate himself for this, but knew it had to be done. So before Itachi left, he used his powers to release the seal on Naruto and Nasi's eye, though they wouldn't realize this until later. Though due to the seal and such, any progression in it is going to take a long while and might only activate under certain circumstances. So there's that. As Lucy stayed to watch over the Naruto and Nasi, she opened two gates, the Archer Sagittarius and the Scorpion Scorpio, telling them, giving them orders, sending them off, as Natsu was already out, heading to the Uchiha complex. When he got there, he gathered up all the kids that were there and alive, sending them off. Then there was something else he had to take care of. Sensing Ambu, even smelling them. He attacked, finding them removing the eyes from the Uchiha's heads. Becoming more furious, he beat all of them down, tying them up. As for the kids, they were running, being told to go to Natsu's house, led by Sasuke, who was still pretty out of it. But he knew he had to get to someplace safe, worried about what might happen next. He saw the look on Natsu's face, that it was serious. Though some Ambus went after Sasuke and the other Uchiha kids as well. Unfortunately, Sagittarius and Scorpio were ordered to protect them on their way here. Sagittarius blasting the Ambu in the shoulders and the fatty parts of their legs in order to stop them, with Scorpio blasting them with the sand twister to send them flying. They were able to get their the Natsu and Lucy's house safely. They're making sure that they were all got some water, such, which did end up waking up Naruto and Nasi, seeing all this, asking what happened. Lucy states that it's complicated, but for now, let's just get everybody inside, make sure that they're comfortable. With the kids there, Sagittarius and Scorpio met up with Natsu, who was finishing up tying up all the Ambu that Danjo sent to collect the Uchiha's eyes. As for the eyes that the mask guy, you know, one of the big villains in the series, he and the eyes he had, they were gathered not just by him but by Madara through the years of past ninja wars, as well as the incident with the Nine Tails that caused Naruto and Nashi to become Jinchurikis. So there's that. Sagittarius and Scorpio were asked by Natsu to guard them, make sure they didn't get away, and to deal with anybody else that would come. As Natsu was heading to where the Hokage's office and such, as he was coming up to the place, the Hokage met with him. He can sense that Natsu was coming. Sorry if I keep mixing that up. There's a lot of N names and such, but whatever. As Lord Third asked, "You're here about what happened," correct? As he states, "Yes, yeah." With the elders and Danzo being there as well. With Natsu glaring at Danzo, Danzo states, So, how exactly do you know what happened?" Natsu states that doesn't matter. What matters is what I saw your lackeys doing with their bodies. Which caught the Hokage by surprise, wondering what he meant. And Danzo looked a little worried. As he states, "You had your men removing the eyes from their skulls. What were you planning on doing with them?" Danzo smugly states, "It is for the best for the village. I was going to use them to increase the power of the village in order to make sure it is safe." But Natsu being furious, stating, "And why would you do that? That's horrible." With Danzo stating, "Perhaps, but it's what had to be done." Hokage stated, "Do you really think the ends justify the means?" Danzo stated, "Yes." He looked at Natsu stating, "And I do remember a little bit more about the incident you attacked me into." With Natsu clenching his fists, the elder stated, "You attacked Danzo? Are you a traitor?" Natsu just yelled, "He tried to kill Shinsui and take his eyes for himself." This shocked them, as were worried. Sensui's eyes were unique and had a terrifying power if in the wrong hands, asking, "Where are they?" With Danzo stating, "Yes, I believe it's time you handed them over. And given your actions that have caused problems for the leaf whenever that could have strengthened us, I think I should take the Jinchurikis as well." Right after saying this, Natsu punched clean through his chest with a lightning flame dragon iron fist, looking at Danjo as he was dying, stating, "You shouldn't have said that. You're not going to harm anyone else." Ripping his fist out, Danjo died. Mostly because he didn't have any of the Chia's eyes implanted into his body to keep himself from dying using that cheat jutsu trick. So yeah, Danjo's dead. With the elders protesting his actions, The Hokage yelled at them, furious at what they did. Not to mention that the children are alive, with the elder stating that they should have been killed, but the Hokage yelling at them again, stating they had nothing to do with this. They were innocent. You expected a member of their own clan to kill children. All things. He was grateful that he sent Itachi to meet with Natsu plenty of times. Lives were saved. The mission will continue. You will say nothing. Your actions has caused so much bloodshed. Now, I and Natsu are going to the Uchiha complex to take care of this. Once they got there, he ordered the Anbu to leave, making sure they didn't have any of the eyes, or were put away in some kind of sealing scroll or something. Afterwards, he elected the eyes himself, asking Natsu to look after these. They ended up doing was creating a underground area where the eyes were all stored away, preserved in like jars and such with some kind of liquid. The box being heavily reinforced and sealed using a combination of sealing jutsu and magical inscription. Well, magical script, Lucy, making only certain people able to access this. Was the best choice, though now Natsu and Lucy had to take care of all these Uchiha kids. With Lord Third telling them that he'll be back and he'll make sure that he'll post some people to stay here in order to watch over them with you. It's for the best. You need to make sure that they're protected, that they learn to be good people. I don't want what happened to happen again, especially to them. Suffered in that. Afterwards, when Lord Third came back, he came back with 2 ninjas, as well as a bunch of other kids. Natsu and Lucy were confused, pulling Lord Third to the side, asking what's with this. He states Donzo was running some training program for these kids. After seeing the notes, he decided that they would face one another, killing each other, to the point where only a few would have survived. Natsu was angry, stating, did so many horrible things. Nobody stopped him until now. Lord Third put his hand on Natsu's shoulder, stating, you stopped him. That's what matters. I don't agree with his methods, but the motive was the greater good of the Hidden Leaf. Fortunately, his views on how to accomplish that, I cannot agree with them. So, yeah, this includes Sai and his brother. So, yep, Sai's brother will be alive. As for the 2 ninjas, they introduce themselves as Kakashi and Yamamoto. Yes, the wood style guy. With which we see that Lord Third is telling them why he picked them. With Kakashi's Sharingan that was implanted into his eye during the last Ninja War. Not to mention both of them are Anbu, and the kids he brought were trained to be a part of that organization. And Yamato has a connection to the first Hokage, which could be useful in case something happens with Naruto and Nasi. They understood and agreed, though they did not have enough room, which Yamato stated that he can deal with that, using his wood style, making multiple layers to their house, like outwards, making plenty of space and rooms for everybody to be housed in. Lord Third said he was going to send some people in order to help make it a proper home with water, electricity, and such, wishing them the best. During the training, they did learn a good bit of things from their overseers. You can consider them Yamato and Naruto. As they trained, they got pretty strong. Kakashi told the Uchiha kids about his eye, and that it was something that was given to him by a friend who was dying in the last great ninja war. Though they felt kind of odd about someone not being a member of the Uchiha having a Sharingan, but they accepted him. As for the other Uchiha kids' view of Sasuke, they knew that his brother was the one that did it, but more bad for him more than hatred for him. Mostly because, unlike them, they were while they were spared from seeing their parents die, he wasn't. He saw his own brother kill their parents, which is way worse, in my opinion, than just having somebody that isn't directly related to you do that. At least I would think so. Not only that, they knew that Tachi used a genjutsu to make him relive that over and over again. Didn't see any reason to be angry about. So they just didn't look at him that way. And, well, Sasuke was furious towards his brother, wanting to kill him, which caused Natsu to remember what he remembered from his talk with Itachi before he left. Itachi telling him, one day Sasuke will become strong enough to kill me. With Natsu stating, are you serious? Is that really what you want? He looks back at Natsu stating, yes, what I did, although it was to protect the village, was unforgivable. But the only way I can think about resting is Sasuke. That's what he must. Please look over him to the best of your abilities. Make sure he goes down a good path. Natsu agreed, though by no means was he happy. As Natsu picked him up and went off, bringing Lucy, Naruto, and Nasi along with them to talk to Sasuke. So they begin to talk. Well, Happy, uh, Yamato, and Kakashi were talking, were more or less watching the kids along with Happy. So yeah, Naruto grabbed something before leaving the house. Something special. As he sat them down, he told them that they're going to train to be dragon slayers, even harder, become strong as possible, which Sasuke was confused about, asking what he meant. With Nar- with Natsu and Lucy showing him, Lucy producing some celestial magic that Naruto ate, and Natsu producing some flames that Nasi ate. But Sasuke was confused even more, asking, "What do you mean? I can't do that." Natsu pulled out a dark crystal, stating, "You will," giving it to him, telling him what it was. It was a dragon lacrima, a shadow dragon lacrima. It would be good for ninja work. Plus, I would think that there's a few of those out there in the fairy tale world, considering the guy that in the final series that they showed had 8 dragon lacrimas in his body. And I don't think he time traveled along with the other slayers like Natsu, Gazield, and Wendy, Sting, and and I forget his name. Sorry, but you know what I mean. He didn't time travel, so what that means he must have found 8 dragon lacrimas somewhere, and I would think Natsu would gather them, making sure that they didn't fall in the wrong hands after the stuff that happened in the final series with that traitor siding with the Dark Wizard, Natsu's brother Zero. So there's that. Gives it to him, telling him what it is, and telling him that they're going to start training for him to use it. He accepted it, thinking that he can gain strength with this to defeat brother. Natsu knew this would be the thought process of him, though he would try to steer him away from that thought, hopefully, as best as he could. He didn't want Itachi to be killed by his own brother. But he knew that it wouldn't really cause uh, good any good to tell Sasuke what really happened, especially now with him being so young. He needed Sasuke to grow up and become more mature, and hopefully he can chip away at that hate of his. Though this did little, as Sasuke grew up with a similar personality as in canon, but was pretty friendly with Naruto and Nashi. With all the other kids there being raised by collectively Natsu, Lucy, Yamato, Kakashi, and Old Cat Happy. They grew up to be good kids. Though one day while they were growing up, something happened that they thought one of their friends that they were growing up with might have gotten seriously hurt, activating the Sharingan. Once they saw this, the kids asked why they have those eyes. So, so this was something that Lucy chimed in, telling them that something happened to Sensui. And they were talking with a member of the Uchiha who thought it would be best to hide them outside of the Uchiha compound, thinking it would be safe. As they state that it was determined to place one in Naruto and one in Nashi, which is why they have it, stating that it's somewhat similar to the Kakashi situation, don't you think? As they do respect Kakashi for all that he's done for helping them train, they go with it, though are unhappy, obviously. But they grew up with Naruto and Nashi and are glad that someone that they know and that they believe they can trust has them. As for the village, they tend to just steer away from Naruto and Nashi not wanting to mess with Natsu's grandkids. Mm, Also, Naruto still gets addicted to ramen, along with Nashi this time. So yeah, There was a lot of ramen in that house. As time just kept going, even Yamato and Kakashi got a little bit stronger from training them, all of these kids, with Sai and his brother getting along with the others as well, with the other kids that were brought into the Ambu training thing that Donjos was doing. So, yeah. He still learns his Beast Scroll, Jutsu, and such, getting pretty good at it. As they were getting older and were entering the Ninja Academy, Kakashi and Yamato were ordered to leave now. They were able to say their goodbyes to all the kids, Natsu, Lucy, and such, as they left, which is where we now leave off at the beginning of the Naruto anime. So this was part 0 of what if Naruto was the was Natsu and Lucy's grandson. I do hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, set it to all so that you're properly notified. And if you're still listening, please remember that since this is the beginning part of a new What If, there will be a second part released. So, hope to see you there. See you later.